Hi, this is John Harch, and welcome to episode 5 of Left Turn at Albuquerque. We're up to Platinum Collection Volume 2, and today we'll deal with Disc 1, which follows the pattern from Volume 1 and has tunes from all the stars of the main series.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque. I should have turned left at Albuquerque.
Happy New Year, everybody. Time for the next of the Blu-ray sets, Platinum Collection Volume 2, which came out on October 16th, 2012. It also came out at the same time on DVD. There wasn't a limited edition, but the Blu-ray had an additional disc. Still don't get why this mostly double dip came out on DVD, but if there was a market for it, it was there for them to buy it. So as with Volume 1, the first disc is a collection of tunes from the most popular characters, starting with Bugs and Daffy. The second disc is a combination of theme-driven shorts with a few character collections as well, plus a number of one-shots. So first up is Bugs' set. All of these have commentary tracks. The disc begins with a Wild Hare from 1940, but we're not going to do this one now. I'll do this one next episode with a set of tunes from disc 2 that form a series. It'll be obvious why. So let's start with the next cartoon on the disc. And that's Buckaroo Bugs, a Bob Clampett classic from 1944, which appeared on Golden Collection Volume 5, written by Lou Lilly, a prolific writer from that era. In this Western spoof, Mass Marauder Bugs is hunted by Red Hot Rider. He obviously spoofs the character Red Ryder, who fans of A Christmas Story may know as a character who gave his name to the famous BB gun.
I want an official Red Ryder carbine action 2-inch range-ball air rifle.
No, shoot your eye out.
This one is one of the real gems of the 40s. It's just a great imaginative tune from beginning to end. This cartoon I remember from my earliest days of watching Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes. It was on Channel 5 way back when. Colors are super bright, but a lot of little debris is in the background. It's sort of cinematic, so it should look like an old film. Now this one includes 2 commentaries, so it shows it's a key one. Only issue I have is John K. and A. Fitzgerald dragged in Callie Fontecchio from the Popeye commentaries. She's such an easy laugh, it's hard to hear the other guys sometimes. Next up is Long-Haired Hare from 1949, original Golden Collection Volume 1. It's Chuck Jones and Michael Maltese. Bugs clashes with an opera star and then gets his revenge in the guise of
Leopold! Leopold!
According to Michael Barrier's commentary, this is the purest form the way Chuck and Mike saw him. Bugs is minding his own business when someone tries to do something to him, leading to the immortal phrase,
Of course, you know, this means war.
Now, I remember this one mainly from when ABC took over the Saturday morning show. Colors are a little muted, but basically clean. A fun bit of trivia, it took until 2003 when this showed up on Golden Collection Volume 1 to find out opera singer Nikolai Shutarov performed the vocal gymnastics of Giovanni Jones. Now with its clamshell appearance, the outdoor theater here is clearly supposed to be the Hollywood Bowl. The theater opened in 1922 and had numerous opera and classical music performances there. Leopold Stokowski was the founder of the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra, so he is inexorably linked to it. Later on, the venue became quite well known for rock performances by the Beatles, the Supremes, the Doors, and a pair by Jimi Hendrix, including the August 18, 1967 show that forms the basis of his latest album. You can hear a review of it over on Keep On Grooving episode 39. Based on the success of this tune, the orchestra would perform a Bugs Bunny on Broadway show where they'd show the cartoons on a giant screen while the orchestra would play along. In fact, it was the last performance in the old bowl. It was updated in 2004. It's still hosting shows to this day. Now, remember I mentioned back when we were talking about Rabbit of Seville and what's opera doc as part of Jones's opera cycle? Well, this is the first part. The final part is Baton Bunny from 1959. Bugs takes a different approach to classical music in each of these, from outsider to unwitting victim. but it actually goes full circle from the Leopold Stokowski impersonation in this tune to Bugs being the actual conductor in the last one. Just a new way to look at these on their own terms. Next is Alibaba Bunny, Jones and Maltese again, this time from 1957. Bugs and Daffy get lost underground on their way to Pismo Beach, where they realize where they made their familiar mistake.
I wonder, I just bet we should have turned left at Albuquerque.
And find Alibaba's cave of jewels, but Hassan will chop anyone who tries to get by him. Chuck Jones was coming up with some really great settings in this era, Duck Dodgers, What's Opera Doc, with Maurice Noble going all out in the cave design. Now, this is another one that Channel 5 would show all the time when I was a kid. This is originally from Golden Collection Volume 5. You can actually think of this as a further extension of the Honey Trilogy beyond Beanstalk Bunny. We'll talk about that a little bit next episode. Colors are odd in this cartoon, but they are cleaned up fairly well. There's some nasty cell debris right in the open, but otherwise it's fine. Now, also from 1957 is Showbiz Bugs by Friz Freleng and Warren Foster, originally from Golden Collection Volume 2. Bugs and Daffy battle it out to be the star of the show, only Bugs doesn't know he's competing. If it's got this much music in it, you know Friz did it. The T for Two dance was one of the openings Channel 5 had for their Bugs Bunny show. It's so well known, it's in the IMDb trivia section. So let's take a trip down memory lane and have a look at it.
We're on!
Now it's pretty clear this routine inspired this famous opening.
Overture, curtain lights, this is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing a part. We know every card by heart.
Later TV showings by frightened executives had Daffy's last act edited to pieces. Funny thing, Friz took that and the bit with Daffy and the Pigeons from his earlier tune Curtain Raiser with Porky Pig. In this way, Friz is kind of like Howard Hawks, taking things from his earlier pictures and reworking them into later ones. There are bits of movies like Only Angels Have Wings and To Have and Have Not ending up in later pictures of his like Hatari and El Dorado, that kind of thing. Or in music like John Fogerty coming out saying he flat out steals from himself. Colors are subdued until the purples on the tuxes pop out. There's very little background debris in this. So Bugs hands off to Daffy for the next set of tunes. The Wise Quacking Duck from 1943 is directed by Bob Clampett and written by Warren Foster. Daffy battles Mr. Meek to keep from getting roasted for dinner. I guess they were looking for Elmer-type adversaries for Daffy. Of course, Bob takes it to extremes. This one was on Golden Collection Volume 5 and has a lot of topical humor of the day, kind of like a late 90s Seinfeld. And it turns out Daffy's striptease might have caused an issue if it wasn't wartime. The restoration on this is generally very clean foreground and background. I think I remember this from TBS. Now, a guy named Darrell Payne did the voice of Mr. Meek.
Oh, I hate to do this, folks, but my wife, Sweetie Puss, says if I don't roast the duck for dinner, she'll cook my goose.
He did one more voice for Warner's a couple years earlier in All This and Rabbit Stew. Yeah, he did the one that wasn't Bugs.
Well, call me Adam.
This one was recently added to the Boomerang rotation for Thanksgiving last year.
Next is 1948's What Makes Daffy Duck from the Art Davis, Bill Scott, Lloyd Turner team we've seen on the other collections that we've talked about. Its appearance on this set was a modern digital video premiere. It was on Laserdisc way back when. Elmer Fudd and a fox compete to get Daffy, so he keeps pitting them against one another. Think of it as like Yo Jimbo or Fistful of Dollars. Art Davis gets more love from these collections all the time. I'm glad he's getting remembered. This one is very clean restoration. I don't remember seeing it until much later, like the Cartoon Network era, though it did show up on the WB afternoon show. The other two Daffy cartoons have commentary tracks. First is Book Revue from 1946 by the Clampett and Foster team. This was originally on Golden Collection Volume 2. One of the last of the Warner's traditions of having books and magazines come to life. This time it's augmented by an unrestrained Clampett and an actual star in Daffy Duck to work with, doing his best Danny Kaye.
Swing music. Jazz.
Hey!
Now TBS had this one on all the time. It's like I'd see it like once a week, it felt like. Now the foregrounds are cleaned up, the backgrounds are still a little on the dirty side. Deduce, You Say, is next, a 1956 tune by Jones and Maltese from Golden Collection Volume 1. Daffy and Porky do their Rathbone and Bruce imitations going after the Shropshire Slasher. Another one of these concept cartoons, in this case Daffy Sherlock Holmes, that Chuck perfected later in the 50s. Now Channel 5 would edit pieces out of this one from time to time, I guess mostly due to the violence. Colors are subdued, befitting the London fog, but the tavern is a little blurry. This cartoon acts as a transition from Daffy to Porky for the next set of tunes, all three of which have commentary tracks. We now come up with what was at the time of Blu-ray first, a restored black and white cartoon from Warner Brothers, and it will be the first of three. 1938's Porky In Wackyland from Golden Collection Volume 2 is an early Clampett surreal masterwork, aided and abetted by you-know-who, Warren Foster. Porky searches for the last dodo bird in Wackyland where anything can happen, and does. It was so good when they remade it, for much of it they simply took the original drawings and colored them. Frizz didn't even take credit for it. Now there's only so much you can clean up in a black and white tune, but they did as good a job as can be expected. When it's dark, you could see these cell fluctuations going light and dark in it, but that's just how it is. Next is 1940's You Ought to Be in Pictures, yet another one from Golden Collection Volume 2, directed by Friz Freleng and written by Jack Miller. It's an interesting black and white epic, almost 10 minutes long, that combines Porky and Daffy with live action. Daffy goes Porky into ripping up his contract with Leon Schlesinger to join the big time over at Warner Brothers. Sort of a midway point between Out of the Inkwell and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now this was never really shown on TV, though it might have been on Nickelodeon at one point. I guess it just didn't fit in with the other cartoons. Now writer Jack Miller, who worked a lot in the early days, stepped away for a while from the business, only to return in the 60s with Frizz over at the Patty Freleng. The live action portions of this have been completely cleaned up. The animation still shows a lot of cell scratches, which couldn't be helped with the mixing of mediums. You put two pieces of film over one another, you can only clean it up so much.
Now the opening of the short gives us a very quick glimpse of what life was like at Termite Terrace at the time, and of course it's goofily depicted. But there's one interesting thing. As everybody flees out for lunch, look at this guy. It's Chuck Jones, when he was really, really young.
Third in the group is Porky in Egypt from Golden Collection Volume 3, done by Clampett. Since it's 1938, shouldn't this have been before You Ought to Be in Pictures? Anyway, the title says it all, as Porky gets lost with a camel in the desert. More opportunity for Clampett to go nuts with things like hallucinations. Now the writer here is Ernest G., who had a run in the late 30s and early 40s at Warner's, then headed off to do other things. Now, I actually think this has cleaned up the best of the three black and white cartoons. The other interesting thing is this was colorized, not in the first round of colorizations in the 60s, we'll talk about those at some point, but in the 90s.
It's not commercially available, but as you can see, it's out there. Older cartoons weren't shown a lot as it was, let alone black and white ones, so this is what they figured they had to do to get them on the air. It's back to Golden Collection Volume 2 with 19...
I get to sleep, but Sylvester gives him a concert all night long.
La da 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 la la
Now, Frizz loved digging through the Warner's music catalog, and this one is a tour de force for him and Mel Blanc's vocalizing.
I don't remember seeing this one until TBS. We turn back to color here, and they're subdued but distinct.
Now, remember when I said about Frizz Freeling stealing from himself? This was basically a remake of the Porky Pig short Notes for You from 1941. Then he remade it again as an Inspector cartoon in the 60s. That's going to be an interesting discussion we'll have to have later on, how the Warner's cartoons under Patty Freeling were so-so, to put it mildly. But the ones for United Artists with the Pink Panther, the Inspector, and the Ant and the Aardvark were really good to top-notch. So we'll get to that at some point. This used to have a blue ribbon title card, but we've got the originals now. It's also got a commentary track. The next Sylvester is 1952's Little Red Rodent Hood, a Freeling Foster short from Golden Collection Volume 5. Sylvester's the wolf in this version, so it lends itself to a lot of the usual cat and mouse and cat and dog gags. I honestly don't remember this one getting too much airplay, though a lot of the gags are similar, so maybe I did see it earlier on. I think I remember it mainly from Cartoon Network. I don't remember TBS. It definitely wasn't on in New York. It's got a very clean restoration, if a little on the calm side color-wise. I don't know if this was the strongest Sylvester tune to put on. I probably would have opted for a Junior and Hoppy one. Canned Feud from 1951 follows. Frizz Freeling directed. Warren Foster and Cal Howard did the story. It's from Golden Collection Volume 1. Think of it as an early version of Home Alone. Sylvester's owners go away on vacation and leave him no food to eat. Eventually he finds a whole cabinet of cans, but can't find the can opener because a mouse stole it. He alternates between trying to get the cans open and trying to get the can opener.
My favorite bit is the axe head that goes flying out of the mail slot.
Now, there's lots of background debris on this one, unfortunately. It's not unwatchable or anything like that, but maybe could have used a little bit more work. I don't remember this a lot from syndication, if at all, maybe on TBS, but definitely by Cartoon Network.
And it's currently in the alphabetical boomerang rotation, so just wait until the C's show up.
Jerry Beck provides the commentary track for this one. Next is 1952's Gift Wrapped, a Freeling Foster short from Golden Collection Volume 2. It's a Tweety and Sylvester Christmas, but I don't remember them showing it much as part of those Christmas specials, though Tune In With Me did use it for theirs last year. Now, this was originally released in February. They probably should have held it till November. But Tweety's a present for Granny, but Sylvester's going to make sure he gets the right present for himself. Some recycled gags in here from the earlier tunes in the series. It's got a nice restoration. The colors convey the warmth of the Christmas season. There's nary a spot in the background. B. Benadet's still doing Granny.
Aha! You didn't count on Pocahontas, did you, Geronimo?
And the disembodied voice you hear is an early Warner's appearance by Dawes Butler.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
We get a solo Tweety next with 1944's Birdy and the Beast by Bob Clamp and Warren Foster, and Tweety actually gets named in the second title card. This one was new to home video on this set, though I could swear it was on one of the other ones. Now, this was the second Tweety cartoon by Clampett, and it features him versus a sort of generic dumb cat. I mean, he's black like Sylvester, but he doesn't act or talk like him. It's kind of an evolution of the Babbitt and Costello character. Tweety takes care of him by the end of the short, which may be why we don't see him again. We also get an early bulldog here, the Butch Spike variant instead of the later Hector. Not like the first one, this was a syndicated, mostly TBS one. It's got a nice basic cleanup, and Mark Hauser provides the commentary track. Then they go back to the duo with 1950's Home Tweet Home by Freeling and Ted Pierce. Sylvester chases Tweety around the park while a helpful nanny keeps coming to the little bird's rescue. B. Benaderet does the nanny. I guess this was before Granny showed up.
Oh, no, you don't.
This looks like the type that would have been syndicated, but I think I remember from Saturday morning. This was another digital debut for this set. Restoration is fine, though the bubble scene has a few scratches in it. Next, we have two Runner Coyote tunes that were both originally on Golden Collection Volume 2. As we noted, these are Jones and Maltese, and both were syndicated. First is Going, Going, Gosh from 1952. Coyote tries to stab Roadrunner with a knife and fork, again, spins around himself. He uses an arrow with dynamite on it, but it blows back on himself. Coyote tries using a slingshot, but it pulls itself out of the ground. Quick drying cement lands on Coyote after the Roadrunner runs through it. Coyote pulls the pin on the grenade. Rock falls on a sewer lid, trapping him. Coyote and drag as a hitchhiker. Coyote paints fake road over the cliff. Roadrunner runs into the picture. Trucks come out and runs Coyote over. Coyote goes through the picture and off the cliff. Coyote tries rolling a boulder down on the Roadrunner. It flips up and ends up running over the Coyote. Coyote tries to drop Anvil while in a balloon. Balloon soars after Anvil is dropped. Then rope unties, sending balloon plummeting. Coyote's on log over highway with spear and rope. Slams into a truck. This is another one where the restoration is so clean you can see the brush strokes on the background. Zipping along from 1953 follows. Coyote tries to catch Roadrunner at a crossroads. Always faces the wrong way. Coyote tries using a grenade, throws the pin. He lays mouse traps all over the road, but as the Roadrunner goes by, they all land on the Coyote. Coyote uses a kite and bomb, but plummets off the cliff. Coyote chops down an electrical pole, which pulls the other poles over onto him. Coyote puts pellets into birdseed. Roadrunner eats. Coyote uses magnet, pulls giant TNT. Coyote tries hypnotism, but Roadrunner has a mirror. Coyote tries rock and seesaw, but the rock lands on him. Coyote lines up guns and tries strings to triggers. All point at him when the strings are pulled. At rope bridge, Coyote cuts rope. Cliff falls down. Coyote tries being a human cannonball, but the cannon shoots backwards. Coyote tries using a wrecking ball over the road. Swings around and smashes into him. Coyote creates a fake storefront and puts a detonator in front of TNT. When a truck comes around the corner, Coyote opens the door, gets blown up, then run over. This one seems a little duller at first, but then brightens up as it goes along. The remaining shorts on the disc all have commentary tracks. Now, Pepe only gets one short, while the other two characters get two. This time out, it's 1951 Scenit-mental Romeo by, guess who, Chuck Jones and Michael Maltese. A Parisian cat tries to get herself into the zoo to get fed by hiding in the skunk cage, the same one as a certain other skunk. Chuck and the gang still had plenty to play with as far as seduction plans went. To be honest, this one I don't particularly remember on TV that often. It didn't appear on any of the other box sets, but did show up on the Pepe Le Pew single disc. It had all the other Pepes, so better of. Now, this may have been intended for an earlier collection since it has a Greg Ford commentary track. It seems like Greg made a lot of these and they just didn't use them at first until they showed up on the Platinums. This one's been cleaned up, but it's generally a little on the dull side. Next, we have two from everyone's favorite, I say favorite rooster, Foghorn Leghorn, starting with The Foghorn Leghorn from 1948, directed by Robert McKimson, written by Warren Foster, and originally on Golden Collection Volume 1. Now, McKimson began to hone his Southern Fried creation down with the semi-remake of Foghorn's debut Walkie Talkie Hawkie, this time with the rooster actually wanting Henry Hawk to think he's a chicken. As for the restoration, still looks bad, like it's a generation down from the original negative. It's like a bad syndicated version. Somebody gave the okay for this? Now, I said I thought this should have been on Volume 1, but let me revise that to Walkie Talkie Hawkie owing to the restoration issues. The other Foghorn is 1956's The High and the Flighty by McKimson and Ted Pierce. It teams up Foghorn Leghorn with Daffy Duck and details Daffy's involvement in the dog-rooster war as a practical joke salesman. Now, this one was in syndication when I was growing up, saw it quite a bit. This appears to be another new-to-digital home video release. Greg Ford has another commentary track, so I'm going to guess they got it ready for an earlier one and it just didn't happen. Restoration is fine, not many cell marks. The disc ends with two from Speedy Gonzales. First is Tabasco Road from 1958 by McKimson and Pierce again. Speedy protects two drunken buddies stumbling their way home in front of a very hungry cat. This got nominated for an Oscar? Now, I haven't seen this one much, if at all. I guess the two drunken mice were enough to keep it off TV. This was the third cartoon for the sombrero-wearing Speedy Gonzales. And it's also the third appearance for this short, having previously been on Golden Collection Volume 4 and the Academy Awards Collection. There are really bright colors on this one. The disc ends with Mexicali Shmoes from 1959, Freeling and Foster on directing and writing. This time it's two sombrero-wearing gatos out to get Speedy with typically bad results. Speedy's cousin Slowpoke Rodriguez makes a late appearance in this one, and a shocking one at that. To hear one character packs a gun is just a little off-putting. Again, no surprise why this wasn't shown more. This was also from Golden Collection Volume 4. Dal McKinnon, who is the voice of Buzz Buzzard over on the Woody Woodpecker cartoons, does the voice of one of the cats here, as well as Mel. Again, great colors on the restoration. As for the extras, and has previously released behind the tune segments on Bob Clampett and the black and white characters, as well as a new one on producer Leon Schlesinger that I could have sworn was done before. However, like the Noon documentary on the last set, it does not have the behind the tunes intro. Before we go, a couple of quick notes on Collector's Choice Volume 2 from last episode. Catty Cornered was actually Rocky's second appearance. He made his first appearance in Golden Yeggs from 1950. But this was the first time Mel used this particular voice for him, which would be the one in the rest of his appearances. It was much deeper the first time out.
All right, Duck. Make what a golden egg.
And commenter Daniel Scott pointed out one Jerry Cloner appearance I think we've all seen. He did the voice and was the model for the March Hare in Disney's Alice in Wonderland alongside Ed Wynn's Mad Hatter. Notice it was another cartoon, but thanks for the assist and for watching. One other quick note, I was just watching Bedeviled Rabbit on Boomerang, and I noticed that the song Bugs is singing about the menu is the exact same one that Charlie Dog was singing in A Hound for Trouble.
Oxamata, hey, oxamata for you. You need my raviola and my pasta fazola too. I'ma give you cacciatore and the pizza that's good to chew. Oxamata, you know like me, hey, oxamata for you.
Sometimes you just watch these things too fast and they go right by you, but that's why you watch them again. So just a quick look back and a look ahead. We started this September 1st, and since then, episode 1, just this weekend, reached 1,000 views. Thank you. I started with 500, got to 1,000. Loving it. Episode 3.5, my son mentioned, it caught the algorithm, and it shot up, and as of this weekend, it hit 3,000 views, which, well, I never would have expected a episode based around point rationing for food, infant mortality cartoons, and The Fright Before Christmas would get that many views, but it did. And our latest episode, episode 4 on Collector's Choice Volume 2, has got up to 2,500 in like 10 days. So somebody out there must want to watch this stuff, so thank you so much for being out there, and we're going to keep this going as the new year is coming up. So our plans for the new year, going forward, we're still going to concentrate on the Blu-rays. We just did Disc 1 of Volume 2 today. Next episode, we'll do Disc 2, and I think we'll do the bonus disc as well, because there's not that many Warner Brothers specific tunes on there, but Warner's owns them now, so we'll get to that when we get there. Then, sometime this year, we will tackle Platinum Collection Volume 3, the Mouse Club Chronicles, Chuck Jones Mouse Chronicles, so that's a 2-disc set. You know, 1 disc of Sniffles, 1 disc of Hubie and Bert. And then
I don't know how many episodes we're going to need to do the Bugs Bunny 80th anniversary set, which was 3 discs, but we're going to have tackled a lot of them going into it. So we'll see how much, but there's a lot new on there, so maybe 2 episodes, might even be 3. I don't know. I'll just see how it works out. I'll try to keep them around half hour each as usual. Then that's 9 discs there. So that 8 or 9 episodes. So that leaves us the possibility of Collector's Choice Volume 3. And supposedly there's a Volume 4 in the works. 3 is definitely in the works. It's just going to be a matter of when they want to announce it. I would suspect they're probably going to keep it around May and November where they originally wanted to do it. And then it's just, they needed to press more discs for Volume 2, which is why it slipped a couple weeks supposedly. So that's there. And then that leaves at least 1 episode open for something else I want to do. So could be something from one of the other companies. Could be something else I want to do with Looney Tunes. We'll see from there. So that's our plan going ahead. I'm actually going to start working. I have another podcast on Sword and Sorcery Valleys of Numenor that's kind of taking a back seat. But when the Rings of Power comes back on the Amazon towards the end of the year, I may work it into a video format, seeing how this has been successful. I'm trying to do a little bit more with Keep on Grooming My Jimi Hendrix podcast video, but it's kind of touchy there. They're very sensitive about things showing up. I know poor Rick Beato wants to put so many things in his videos about Hendrix songs, and he says, I keep getting blocked, so I've had to put some plans that I had for things on the back burner until I want to deal with them. So I'll concentrate on this. There's a lot out there with not just Looney Tunes. At some point, I know I want to deal with the Hanna-Barbera stuff. I want to deal with Tom and Jerry and MGM. I want to deal with Popeye. Woody Woodpecker, they haven't done a really good job on. MCA really has to get on the ball on that. They have one collection, but it's not really that good. It's like they really need to do a comprehensive thing. We're still missing a really good Mighty Mouse collection. Columbia, all their stuff. I mean, it's on TuneIn with me a lot. They've really been using that, but there's no good collections out there. There's some UPA collections, so you can get a hold of Mr. Magoo and Gerald McBoing Boing, but other than that, it's kind of scarce. So, but there's still plenty out there. So here's looking to a good 2024. And like magic, I changed my shirt. Actually, all those other recordings, the introduction pieces there, were done on December 30th of 2023, and this is January 11th of 2024. Just a quick update and thank you to everybody out there. Episodes 3.5 and episode 4 this weekend will likely both cross over 5,000 views each. So I'm thrilled. Thank you out there. I don't know what the algorithm caught, but I'm glad it caught it. And also just a quick heads up on Boomerang's thing. They changed their schedule for January. And now basically Looney Tunes is 1 hour a day. They run it Monday through Friday. They run it at 6 in the morning. And then they run it for 1 hour. And then they run the same hour at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then on the weekends, they run it at 1 o'clock for an hour. And then the same hour at 8 o'clock. I don't know. They're doing a lot of repeating. It's like they one block and then for like 9 hours. And then they repeat it. And then overnights are crazy. You can also catch it at 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Tuesday mornings, Monday into Tuesday. So they do like these, again, overnight they do these blocks. It's very confusing. I don't know what they were thinking, but again, they're still only using like 133 or so cartoons in it. They're doing it alphabetically. But the weird thing was, is like it jumped as I was watching it from Monday to Tuesday, and I'm like, wait a minute, it was supposed to have been, there was a couple of, like, No Parking Hare. Wait a minute, that didn't run. Like, I just saw Night of the Living Duck. Should have been No Parking Hare next. Turns out they ran it overnight, and I'm not watching cartoons at 4 in the morning. I may enjoy them, but not that much. And plans may have slightly changed for the next episode. I'll update you when we get to that one next month. But again, thank you for the views. I'm absolutely thrilled at the reception. Who would have thunk it? So, thanks again. See you next month.
Next time it's this too, where we'll see the development of Bugs Bunny, the Humping and Tortoise trilogies, and a bunch of secondary characters done with a twist. I'm John Hartshell. Thanks for watching.